Welcome back to this week's coverage of the NFL Big Data Bowl. The NFL is now a week past their anticipated results release date, probably because there have been so many great entries to consider and they simply can't make up their mind. In this week's edition, we're going to look at 5 such entries, with subjects ranging from pass completion probabilities, to graph theory, to player health, to the 40-yard dash. If you remember last week's show, all of our best contest entries were from the university track. But for an example of the broadcast visualization track done exactly according to its intention, we have Duncan Brookover's The Read. In this analysis, we are presented a broadcast-ready metric of pass outcome likelihoods backed by a physics-adjusted light GBM model. An attractive, succinct, and well-narrated video with examples accompanies a detailed and rigorous write-up. Duncan Brookover, The Read. Next up is a 2-student team from 2 different Midwestern colleges. This one is all about the recruiting metric that we love to hate. Just how important is the 40-yard dash? Got an opinion on that, Buzz? Although a major part of the NFL Combine, fan debates about this vaunted metric are a perennial source of football controversy, and have probably even caused a divorce or two. Jason Richard examined the impact of 40-yard dash speed on passing defense in their Speed Matters, How Defender 40 Times Impact Pass Defense. Overall conclusion? It appears to depend on route and coverage type. In addition to being a brilliant data scientist, Jace Emels was himself a linebacker for the Northwestern College Raiders, go Raiders, and originally hails from Pella, Iowa. Incidentally, the Fretheim family is also from Iowa originally, Decorah specifically. Our next submission of note is a fascinating and innovative use of graph theory to quantify spatial control and study the effect of players on each other during passing plays of the NFL 2023 season. The Louvain method is used to generate a topology of communities across the players present in the frame, and then a complex and well-thought-out model of biomechanics is used to determine dominance across those communities. Finally, this computation of dominance is translated into a single number that, together with the Louvain-generated communities themselves, becomes a broadcast-ready metric that can be shown on TV. I'm actually rather reminded of the superficially complex but strikingly familiar statistics made in that classic of sports analytics known as the Daily Racing Form. Published since 1894, familiar to all handicappers and horse racing enthusiasts worldwide since before the Titanic sank. Actually, the Daily Racing Form was my first introduction to sports analytics. Going to the racetrack as a teenager to play the ponies. On my 30th birthday, after a burst gastrocnemius during a church softball game had me temporarily confined to a wheelchair, thus thwarting my original plan of a dirty 30 in Manhattan, I recreated those memories with my dad in one final trip to Emerald Downs at the end of my 20s, saying goodbye to youth in the first place I ever was an adult. Elegance frequently comes from simplicity, and perhaps no entry in this competition has better exemplified this truth than Seth Jenigan's tracking in-hair receiver impact on deep vertical passes. A student at the University of Arizona, double majoring in statistics and computer science, Mr. Jernigan fit a distribution to the likelihood of pass completion at each moment the ball is in the air, and subtracted the well-known probability of a pass of that length from his new estimated probability at the moment the receiver reaches the ball. Simple, easy to understand, and easily quantifiable. This metric serves as both an excellent measurement of individual receiver effectiveness and a guide to how to be better at supporting the quarterback during long, potentially game-winning passes. Of course, winning isn't the only priority, and our final entry today is primarily about safety. A number of data scientists this year have looked at the potential for injuries and accidents, such as Buzz's accident right there. And one of the best analyses of that type is Cecilia Gerlach's Tracking Danger, a collision risk metric using player trajectories. Although no strong correlation between collisions and injuries was found, methodologically, Cecilia's analysis is an excellent model for how injury risks can be monitored and addressed using data, especially for the most serious and long-term injuries that might deprive a player of a significant part of their legacy. I applaud her intentions and believe it likely that more relevant factors could be found in data other than the data the NFL gave us this year. Perhaps they can touch base with Cecilia and see what she might be able to do with such data. That's all for this week's episode of NFL Big Data Bowl coverage. Tune in next Friday for more interesting and insightful analyses of this great sport of football. Perhaps we'll have an update on the leaderboard for you by that time as well.